Good evening, here's Top News English newsletter starting with headlines. Military operations continue across Syria. Israeli army uses illegal fletched shells to kill Palestinians in Gaza. Egypt calls for Israeli-Palestinian peace talks. And suicide bomber killed 3 foreign advisors in Kabul. Welcome to details. Increasing numbers of terrorists were killed and injured in many army continued military operations against their gatherings and hideouts in several provinces across the country. Terrorists' weaponry were also destroyed. An army unit destroyed terrorists' hideouts in Deir ez-Zor. A source in the province said that army soldiers destroyed many cars loaded with weapons and ammunition, killing and injuring a number of terrorists inside them. Army troops targeted terrorists' gatherings in Al-Mara'iyya village in Deir ez-Zor countryside, killing a number of terrorists and injuring others. They also destroyed 3 cars equipped with heavy machine guns. In Syria also, European Union foreign ministers agreed Tuesday to expand sanctions on Syria. The ministers added 3 people and 9 entities to the current list of those subject to an asset freeze and a ban on entering the European Union, a statement said. The names added to the list are expected to be published Wednesday. The decision brings the total number of people on the European Union Syria sanctions list to 192 alongside 62 entities. In Gaza, Israel has bombed 5 mosques, a sports stadium, and the home of the late Hamas military chief across the Gaza Strip, a Gaza police official says. Airstrikes set off huge explosions that turned the night sky over Gaza City orange in early hours of Tuesday. The sound of the blasts was mixed with a thud of shellings, often just seconds apart, and a pre-dawn call to prayer from mosque loudspeakers. The intense Israeli strikes came as UN Chief Ban Ki-moon and US Secretary of State John Kerry met in Cairo to launch the highest-level push yet to end 2 weeks of Israeli offensive that has claimed at least 570 Palestinian lives. The UN has said a majority of the Palestinians killed were civilians, among them dozens of children. In Israel, the army said 2 more soldiers were killed in clashes with Hamas fighters, bringing the number of troops killed since July 8 to 27. 2 Israeli civilians have also been killed. Moreover, in Gaza, the Israeli army is reportedly using fletched shells in its offensive in Gaza, weapons described as illegal under the rules of humanitarian law by human rights organizations, generally fired by a tank and described as an imprecise weapon ill-suited to combat in a built-up area. Fletched shells explode in the air above a target, sending out a cone of thousands of tiny steel darts, each no more than 5 centimeters long. According to the Palestinian Center for Human Rights, 6 such shells were fired towards the village of Gaza in the Gaza Strip on 17 July. Also in Gaza, an Israeli soldier is missing following a deadly battle in the Gaza Strip, a military official says. It was not clear if the soldier was dead or alive, the official said on Tuesday. The development adds a potential complication to intensive diplomatic efforts meant to end more than 2 weeks of Israeli attacks on Gaza that has killed at least 570 Palestinians and 29 Israelis. The defense official said that the soldier went missing after a deadly battle in Gaza over the weekend, and it was not immediately clear if he was dead or alive. The official spoke on condition of anonymity because he was not authorized to discuss the incident with the media. Israeli media, meanwhile, said that the soldier went missing while he was traveling in an armored personnel carrier that came under attack over the weekend in Gaza City's Shuja'iyya neighborhood. The reports, which were not confirmed by the military, did not say if the soldier was dead or alive. Some media said the soldier was likely dead. Military spokesman Peter Lerner said on Twitter that out of 7 Israeli soldiers attacked on Sunday, Israel has been able to identify 6. In Egypt, Egypt's foreign minister raised the possibility Tuesday of restarting stalled peace talks between Israelis and Palestinians as part of negotiating a ceasefire in the war that has broken out on the Gaza Strip. At the start of a meeting with U.S. Secretary of State John Kerry, Foreign Minister Sameh Shoukry said that he planned to work with U.S. and other world leaders to not only resolve this issue, but also to set in motion once again the peace process that Secretary Kerry has been so actively involved in, so as to end this ongoing conflict between the Palestinians and the Israelis. Kerry said that his discussions with Shoukry sought to hopefully find not only a way to a ceasefire but a way to deal with the underlying issues, which are very complicated, but he stopped short of agreeing to reopen the peace talks that abruptly broke off last April after nearly 9 months of his personal attention. In Ukraine, a train carrying the remains of many of the victims of a Malaysia Airlines plane downed over eastern Ukraine arrived in Ukrainian government territory on Tuesday. The train carrying around 200 body bags arrived in the eastern city of Kharkiv, which is in Ukrainian government hands. The bodies will then be taken back to the Netherlands to be identified. In Afghanistan, an alleged Taliban suicide bomber detonated an explosion on Tuesday right outside Kabul International Airport, killing 3 foreign advisors of so far unidentified nationality and their Afghan interpreter, police reported. The airport in Kabul has been the target of multiple Taliban attacks over the 12 years of the Afghan war because it is the major military logistics hub of ISAF troops. As a rule, insurgents do not employ frontal attacks on the heavily guarded airport, preferring to shell it with mortars and RPGs. Yet last Tuesday, Kabul airport suffered one of the worst attacks of this year, with the Taliban claiming responsibility for the assault. In this successful attack, up to 15 invader soldiers were killed or wounded, and many vehicles were damaged, the Taliban spokesman Zabihullah Mujahid claimed. And finally, in Turkey, Turkish Prime Minister Recep Tayyip Erdogan said that he has stopped talking to U.S. President Barack Obama on the phone amid growing strains between Ankara and Washington over Syria and the Gaza conflict. Turkey, a fierce opponent of Syrian President Bashar al-Assad and an open supporter of armed terrorist fighters, felt betrayed when the United States backed away from military action against Damascus in September. In the past, I was calling Obama directly because I can't get the expected results on Syria. Our foreign ministers are now talking to each other, Erdogan said in a live interview on pro-government ATV channel late Monday. And I have talked to U.S. Vice President Joe Biden. He calls me and I call him. I expect justice in the process. I couldn't imagine something like this from those who are championing justice, Erdogan added without elaborating in an apparent jibe at Washington. The last phone call between the two leaders took place on February 20, after which the White House released a statement accusing Erdogan of misrepresenting the content of the conversation. A staunch advocate of the Palestinian cause, Erdogan has recently been at loggerheads with Washington over Israel's offensive in the besieged Gaza Strip that has killed more than 570 Palestinians in 2 weeks. Erdogan accused the Jewish state of carrying out state terrorism and a genocide of Palestinians. The U.S. State Department branded his comments on Israel offensive and wrong, but the Prime Minister hit back by saying that the United States needed to engage in self-criticism. That's all for today. Thanks for joining us. I'm Dima. Good night.